Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this special edition of Turnaround Marriage Live. We're so excited that you guys are joining us tonight, and we have an amazing man with us. So I'm going to share about him in just a moment. But Rachel, why should people, what people should listen tonight?
I would say anyone should tune in if you are feeling hopeless tonight, if you are in a place of grief, whether it's grief in the state of your marriage or maybe your spouse has already left. We want to just offer you a little bit of hope that, a divorce is not the end of everything, that there is hope for you. And so if you're feeling like you're in a dark place, this amazing young man that we love so much has some words of hope, and he's sharing his raw story with us tonight. And we're just really, really, really thankful that Pete is here.
Yes. And I do want to say it is an honor to have Pete. Pete, we love you. Could I say you're like a brother to me, but full disclosure, you are family. And years ago, you were in our wedding as a little boy. And so that's part of
He wasn't that little. He was a teenager. We're not that much older.
I don't know that he was a teenager. I think we've got a lot more grace to show. But Pete is an amazing guy, and it's been an honor to walk this journey together the last few months. And Pete, for you to be here tonight, thank you for being here. That's the first thing I want to say. All right. Yeah, man. So what I want to, I guess, just kind of let's go ahead and dive in. And Pete, when we first started talking about us working together, share with us where you were at that time.
Yeah. I was definitely hurting at that. My wife had left in September of 2018. So it had been a year and a half. And then we had gotten divorced in January of 2020. So the marriage was over, and the real sharp, acute pain was over for the most part. And I was looking for some direction. Yeah. But during that time between September 2018 and January 2020, a lot of growth started to happen. But I really looked for reasons from God, like why he would allow that to happen in my life. And it led to confession of sin, which is good. And it also led to some frustration because I didn't know why. My wife left for another relationship, and I prayed for her. I prayed for her before she left. I knew things were wrong. And I brought our picture. I'd hung this on at the refrigerator for quite a long time. With Ephesians chapter 3, verse 20 and 21 on it. Now him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is in work within us, to him be glory. I thought, I was convinced that it was completely plausible that Leah would come back. And I still am. But perhaps God had some purpose for me in that whole event that happened. So it's not on the fridge anymore. I have it in a special spot, and the verse is very meaningful to me. I do believe that God is able, and he's immeasurably more, and he can do more than we ask.
Amen. Amen. Yeah. Amen. Maybe you could share just a little bit more about when you said you were looking for something. Was it kind of to put the pieces together in your mind and heart? Is that kind of what you were looking for? Maybe some of the answers as to what went wrong. Where were you in terms of that?
I knew a lot about what went wrong with me. I was quite distracted. I would get very focused on my own projects, either for myself or for other people. And I would kind of leave my wife to fend for herself for hours at a time, often. And that just wasn't healthy in a relationship. So that's one thing that I definitely knew was one cause. And I'm not here to point at my wife either, but I was definitely, I could be legalistic as well. Lee and I were big hikers, and it was always hard for me to miss a Sunday at church. If I was there, I was kind of dragging her along. If I wasn't there, I felt bad because I wasn't there. I felt like I wasn't a very good Christian for not being there. So that was a very real struggle, because at that time, I didn't know it then, but Leah was really struggling with her faith. And I was praying for her often, but I didn't know to the extent that she was struggling. And dragging her to church, that wasn't making a difference. But if I had been with her more often, maybe that would have made a bigger difference.
Pete, you've been just nothing but honorable throughout this whole journey. Never, blaming or throwing her under the bus. And for that, we just honor you, because you took 100% ownership of your side.
Absolutely.
Even though she was the one who left. And we just honor you for that, because that takes a big man. Even right now, when you had every right to say it was your fault, for you to say, I could have done these things. And so anyway, again, we don't want to point fingers and do all that, but we just honor you because you took 100% ownership and just kind of learned a lot of what you could have done better. And of course, hindsight is always 20/20. Right. But when you started speaking with Scott about maybe working on just working your way through our program and sort of the process, why was it important for you to fix that or kind of go through that? Why was that important to you?
I think I do try to commit and finish what I started, and I was ready to learn something from experienced people, you guys.
Okay.
And one of the first things that Scott said was, "Will you be coachable?"
Which and is you were, Pete.
You were, but we didn't know what that was going to look like, did we?
Yeah, I am a physical educator, so I'm always coaching people.
Right.
Here to tell people what to do than to actually listen to your own coach.
Right.
And do what they want you to do, even if it's some silly thing or a crazy thing.
Yeah.
Or, you had us do quite a lot during the coaching.
Some crazy things.
What was the craziest thing, or the thing that stuck out to you the most that maybe made an impact?
One that stands out was your session on emotional margins, where your body position affects your emotional health. Your body to change your emotional state. That sticks out.
That's hard awesome. For us Presbyterians and Baptists, right? I mean, we're not used to body position.
Pentecostals have had this down for a long time. I grew up in the
charismatic church, so yeah, I'm used to jumping around.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did go through all the activities that you had me do.
Yeah, you did, and you dove into all of the program, all of our modules that we've set up, and trying to, and I know you took a ton of notes too. Is there anything that of all that stuff that, as you look back upon the biggest results for you, what stands out as your biggest takeaway at this point? Obviously there could be a lot of them, but what's your biggest takeaway?
There are a lot. I would think gratitude and thankfulness is the biggest one. It's throughout the whole Bible. And I didn't understand forgiveness very well before my divorce.
Hmm.
I didn't understand gratitude very well, and I understand it a little more now. And I really understand starting my day with gratitude towards God.
Mm-hmm.
It changes my mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
For how long?
It depends on the day.
Yes.
I would say.
Yeah.
It's really it's a mindset of gratitude.
Mhm.
One thing about forgiveness I learned with my past wife is forgiveness is an attitude. It's not a one time, I forgive you, it's done. It's,
Mhm.
I forgive you, that those feelings come up again. And I
Yeah.
have to readdress that
Mm.
and re-forgive, I guess.
Yeah.
But I have to have that mind set. The
A
song
new,
"Made Mind" of Christ My Savior kind of comes up in my mind.
yeah.
Mm.
And like a new layer of
Hour of
forgiveness.
the day.
Yeah. I wonder right along with that, Pete, you had said probably halfway through somewhere in there, it seemed like you got a whole new, fresh forgiveness from God too. Is that fair to say? Did you, not that we earn it or that, it's not complete already, but maybe a new sense of experiencing it and feeling it? Is that fair to say that you experienced that somewhere in our program too, somewhere along the way?
I would say that having the opportunity to forgive in the way that I had to, and I can't say it's totally forgiven either, to be honest. I I think about it quite often, and it gets me angry quite often. I have to go back to gratitude and
Mhm.
being thankful. Giving that anger to God and asking Him to teach me something about Himself
Mhm.
through
Mm.
that.
I love that.
Yes.
It's so
Yeah,
good.
Yeah, I mean, we talk in our program about how forgiveness is a choice. It is a posture. It is, we have to stay there. We have to stay in forgiveness. And, we believe that marriage is like the beautiful crucible where people can be forgiven and forgive. And so, and of course we need that from God. And sometimes we can get so angry at Him for what He allows. But I love how as you dove in, Pete, you learned to look for the gift even in the midst of the challenge. And it's like, God, what are you doing in me right now? And so we've just watched you grow, and I think have some healing. And so
definitely.
can you bring us up to speed on kind of where you are now?
I have learned to have a lot more empathy for others.
Mm.
Identify. I remember asking Scott, like, what is there any good that can come out of my story? Like, what good can come out of my wife leaving? I didn't want it to happen. I loved her, and Scott said, perhaps you can identify a little bit more with Jesus.
Mm.
His friends left him. He felt lonely as well. And now I can identify with other people who also have that same struggle in their life.
Mm.
So
Mm.
empathy is a huge thing I've learned.
Mm. Mm.
And then I've been able to show that with people as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it seems like as well, where you're at, there's a newfound joy too. Not to say that there aren't struggles, but I've seen you've had an active summer and, you've been busy, and it seems like your countenance has changed too. Do you feel that every day?
I feel more like myself.
Yeah.
When, like, back in the fall of 2018, I was very active but I was punishing myself.
Mm.
I wanted to run and just feel a lot of pain. So I ran a lot. And then I got injured and I felt a lot of pain.
Yeah.
But now it's more for the joy of running, and I'm thankful to be able to move.
For our listeners who don't know, Pete is an ultra marathon runner. Is that what you call it when you run like crazy 100-mile races and stuff? And so how interesting that you did that in the fall a couple of years ago to punish yourself, but now you're finding the joy in running again the way you did before. And
that's really cool.
we were
hungry anymore.
What'd you say?
I don't have to run angry anymore.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. We're amazed by how much you dove in, how much you contributed to the group dynamic that we provide. And I don't know.
He was a huge part of it. Yeah.
Huge. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And just the way you took the work seriously, like you were not a slacker.
Yeah.
You just really dove in, and we're just such a joy and just so raw and honest to share, and like allowing God to just transform your pain and see that he's still good. Right. And he's still on his throne. And when we ask why, we're going to like bang our heads against the wall, because we won't know probably until heaven, but we can say, what, Lord, what do you want to show me in this? Where is the gift here? Because there's always a gift when you look for it. And so, so what's the big takeaway that you would want the audience to understand through your story?
I think there's hope. Even if you're already divorced, there is hope. God he can still teach you. You're not ruined. God can still renew you.
Yeah.
If you're still married, don't wait. I truly wish that I had been able, that I would have had the courage to bring my wife and I to some sort of marriage counseling or coaching program before it got too late. So, but if it is too late, like I was in that situation, you can still make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, right along with that, Pete, I guess I'd ask, really the last big question is, there's who knows who's listening to this tonight, exactly who's going to hear this, maybe tonight or the next day. What would you tell those people, or what would you tell those couples that are on the fence? Maybe they're a little hesitant to book a call, and get on a call with me. What would you tell them tonight?
I don't have any magic words, but I was reading in Colossians this week, and in Colossians 3, it says, "Let the peace of God rule in your heart." And if you want peace with God and peace with your spouse, God has to be ruling, and that has to be the first change of where is your heart with God. But let the peace of God rule in your heart. Rule in your heart.
Yeah, that's so true. Would you say that it would be wise for someone who's maybe feeling like stuck, or maybe that there's no hope? Obviously, God's word is so critical to what we do. I mean, it's the foundation for everything that we do. Is it fair to say that you would recommend that someone, if they're struggling, that they ought to book a call, which, by the way, is free? Would that be something you would recommend?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
It takes a strength of vulnerability, which I believe vulnerability is an incredible strength. And it takes a strength of vulnerability to say, I'm going to reach out. I'm going to get help. And, we had to do that. You had to do that. I think we all need that at some point in our lives, whether it's this area of our life or another. And so we just honor you, Pete, for being the man of God that you are, for for not allowing bitterness to grow and and take root in your heart,
Right.
for clearing the shackles of the poison of unforgiveness, and for getting rid of that, and for being set free.
What's that, Pete? What'd you say?
Bitterness was eating me up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is so dangerous, and it will destruct a person.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's so sneaky because you feel so justified in doing it. And the more you
And it creeps in too.
rehash it with your friends or your family or whatever, it's like it grows deeper and deeper. So we just honor you for like doing the hard work of moving through your grief and finding the gratitude there. And so we just honor you. You're a rock star. You're a superhero. We love you so much.
Yeah.
We love to see Christ in you, and that he's not done with you, because he's absolutely not.
Right. And Pete, you picked that title, From Grieving to Grateful, and I think it was a great idea because it really encapsulated your journey, from where you were, the heartache, and not to say you've arrived yet, right? You're still on that journey, right?
Far from.
Yeah. But you're seeking, you've learned to, and you're seeking to abide in gratefulness. And like you said, when you live there in gratefulness, what happens?
When I live there, I'm more aware of all the great things that God has given me, all the talents, all the people in my life, like everything that's good, God has given. And when I have that other mindset, I feel like crap.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I can't do much. But gratefulness, it definitely changes everything, and gratefulness towards God.
Absolutely. And we've seen that in you, Pete, and we're so grateful to be on that journey together. And guys, what I would just say to you, wherever you are tonight, wherever you're feeling, whether you're feeling lonely, whether you're feeling hopeless, whether you're feeling angry, maybe that you're wondering if there can be forgiveness that comes. And guys, we're here to tell you, you don't want to stay stuck, and being stuck in those ruts can feel like you're so distant, so disconnected from God, disconnected from your spouse, whatever it would be. And getting that help, everything can change, especially when you bring about that gratefulness component. And, a lot of times I never learned that growing up the way that we're teaching that now. And it's so fun because when people learn how to do that, everything changes, just like you said, Pete.
Mm-hmm.
Pete, we honor you. We thank you for your time tonight. You're an amazing guy. God's got an amazing story ahead. The chapters are yet to be written. I know for sure that you will continue to have many more miles on the road than I will, whether that's biking or running. But more than that, I know that God has amazing things in store for you. We don't know what all those are, but we anticipate with great expectation for what that will be. And guys, for those of you out there, I would just encourage you, wherever you are tonight, if you know that things aren't the way they should be, reach out and book a call. Just go to turnaroundmarriage.com/call. We'll book a free call. We'll talk about where you are, where you're stuck, where your marriage is stuck, where you dream things could go, where you dream your marriage can be. And if I can help you to get from where you are, where you're stuck now, to where that is, I'm absolutely going to make that path clear. If there's something better, I'm going to guide you that way. But you're absolutely going to get clarity on how to get unstuck. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Pete, any last words before we go?
I've said it.
Okay, you said it. That's for sure.
We love you, Pete.
Share, Scott and Rachel. Thank you.
All right. Love you, Pete. Take care.
All right.